The Ohio Star block is rich in history and has been around since the early 1800s. It was a popular block amongst the pioneer quilters because it was an introduction into the quarter square triangles, which allowed quilters to use lots of their scraps and create stunning, unique blocks. And we all know we like to use up our scraps. We don't like our full scrap in. The Ohio Star block is a respectable node to the town of Abilene, Ohio. I hope I said that right. And to Mary Larry Longston. Mary was remembered by her son and grandson as often sitting in a rocking chair, sewing, quilting. And an Ohio Star quilt is at the International Quilt Museum to honor those left behind by soldiers who met their dismay during the Civil War. Hello and welcome. I am Jackie with Jackie Russell Creates, where we talk about everything quilting. I hope to inspire you to make traditional patchwork quilts or even some art quilts, whether they're big or small. So today we're doing the Ohio Star block for our block of the month. So let's get started. So you'll only need a few items besides a lovable kitty here. You're going to need 2 of a light color fabric. I'm choosing to go with white. That is 4.5 inch square, and then you'll need a 4.5 inch square for your center. It can be, pretty much any color you would like. Then you're going to make the outer blocks that is going to make up the star, and you're going to need 2 of your white or whatever color you're using for the light color, and they're going to be 4.25. You're going to need 4 of another color and then 2 of another. So these are all getting cut and sewn together. The 5.25 and the 4.5, we're just going to set those aside for right now. You're also going to need a marking pen. I'm just using a friction pen, and you're going to need a ruler of some sort to be able to mark your lines. I am using the June Taylor Perfect Half Square and Quarter Square Triangle. I will list this below in the description. It is a wonderful tool if you're doing a lot of half square or quarter square triangles. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the blocks that we have 4 of, and we're going to draw a line. Sugar May. So if you don't have this ruler, you're just going to draw a line from corner to corner. Because I have this ruler, I'm going to line up this solid black line along there, and then I'm going to draw a line here. That's going to give me my stitch line. But if you're just using a regular ruler, you're going to go from corner to corner and draw your line, and then you're going to stitch a 1/4 inch on either side of that. But because I have this ruler and it makes it so much easier, I'm marking my stitch line so I know to follow down that line. Once we have all 4 of these marked, we're going to put right sides together with the other fabrics. So I'm going to just line them up, and I put a pin on each side of the lines just to hold it together while I stitch. Then we're going to take it over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to sew down my line. But if you used just a single line at the corner, you're going to stitch a 1/4 inch on each side of that line to give you your half square triangles. Then I'm going to show you a little tip to make this a lot easier to sew our 1/4 square triangles together. So I'm going to go to the sewing machine. I'm going to sew these, and I'm just going to do the chain piecing where I'm just right through the sewing machine, and then we will come back here. Okay, so I have them all stitched. I'm going to clip the threads, and I'm using yellow thread today, as you can see here on the white. When I am piecing my blocks together, I normally don't have a problem using just about any color that I have because they're not going to be sewn or seen. It's just the outside when I'm quilting them that I worry about what color I use. So now we're going to cut these apart, and if you had the line just straight down the middle, you will just cut on that line. But because I have the June Taylor, I'm going to use the one with the dash lines. I'm going to line that up on my stitch line, and there's a little slit here that I can just put my rotary cutter right down and cut them in half. We're going to press toward the dark, watch out, Sugar May, fabric. In this case, it's going to be my blue-greenish. So I'm going to set my seam. And the nice thing, because I use a friction pin, it erases as soon as I press it. So we're just going to press all of these toward that blue fabric. And the reason we want to do that is when we do this next step, it will line up really nice and make it a lot easier. You notice when you're ironing, you have these like dog ears sticking out right here on the corners. All you have to do is trim those off. It just helps to line things up in the next step so you don't have the extra fabric hanging off there. So normally from here, to get your quarter square triangles, you would draw a line here and you would cut. But we're not going to do that this time. We're not going to pre-cut it right now. We're going to leave them together. And what we're going to do is we now have 4 blocks that have white and 4 blocks that have the purple. We're going to take one of each and line them up, and we're going to then stitch. So I got all my dog ears cut off. What we're going to do now is we're going to take and flip either color, whether it's the purple or the white. You're just going to flip one of them over, and you're going to position it so you have your ruler. So when you draw your lines, you would have a purple and a blue. So you're pretty much going over the seam. So you would draw a line, if you're using a regular ruler, from the corners to stitch on the other side. If you have this ruler, you're going to draw your stitch lines. This is where we normally would have cut, but I'm eliminating a step here from the way I was taught. Because I was taught that you would go ahead and cut these in half and then sew them to the other block pieces. We're not going to cut them in half this time. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take these, we're going to lay our white down. So whatever way you have it, if you have the dark at the bottom and then your white on top, you want to make sure that you put whatever this color is up here on top. Then you're going to nestle those seams, and that's why we wanted to go toward the dark. You're going to nestle those seams together and make sure that they're nestled nicely in there. I'm going to take a pin and I'm going to put right down and make sure that I'm lining up that seam line, and so it is. So I'm going to put a pin on each side to hold these together, and then we're going to go to the sewing machine and we're going to stitch just like we did before, a 1/4 inch on each side. So in my case, I'm going to do the line. So here is our white block. We're going to put the blue-green on top, nestle those seams. If you want to make sure you got them lined up, just put a pin right down the stitch line, lift one up, make sure it's aligned. This one's not aligned, so just, move it over so those seams match up and pin it. And if you didn't press your seams go in the right direction, you can always go back and press again so they are all matching up. So I'm putting it right down in there, and you can see where it lines up perfect right there. So you can just use that pin to, hold your thing in place. So I'm going to go sew these together. Now that we have our blocks sewn together, should have 4 of them, we're now going to cut them. Doing the same thing as before, we're going to just cut between those lines. And now we're going to press them open. So you're going to set them. And now you have your quarter square triangle with your points lined up perfectly. So you don't have to try to take this triangle and this triangle and try to match them up and hope they stay. Now they're perfectly lined up for you. So much easier. Such a great tip and idea way to do the quarter square triangles. If you have another way to do quarter square triangles or even half square triangles, comment below and let me know. I'll be interested to see how everybody makes them. Do you have a special ruler like I do with the June Taylor? Or do you just use a regular ruler? I want to know how you all make your half square and quarter square triangle blocks. Once again, you're going to have those dog ears. Just trim them off. And say we are actually going to align this, or square up, I shouldn't say align. We're going to square up these blocks here to be able to fit into our main block. So you actually want to square them up to 4.5 square. So once again, I have the June Taylor, and if you actually line up the center mark and then line up your diagonals, your 45s, it will actually line up where you need it. So like at the bottoms, it has, the different measurements. So I'm going to follow this, which it actually looks like I just need to trim off the dog ears, and it's, makes it a perfect 4.5 inch block. From there, we're going to actually now start laying out our design. So as I cut this off, I'll put them in position. So we have a white block, and then we're going to lay one of the quarter square triangles with the white part facing up, and then another white block. Then we're going to take another one of our quarter square triangles with the white facing out, our center block, whatever color you chose to do. Then another quarter square with the, we're missing a white block. Okay, so then we're going to have another white block. I think I did. And then we're going to have that facing out. So I actually cut enough. So I can actually make 2 blocks with what I cut. But let me see if I can find. Here's going to be another white block. Okay, we'll just start. I don't know where it went. We will, I'll go cut another block, and then we'll piece this together. Okay, we are back with all our pieces. So when you actually use what I mentioned earlier, you're going to get enough half square and quarter square triangles to make 2 blocks. I will put in the description the actual cutting for 1 block. So when you lay out, you're going to have your solid white, which is 4.5 inch square. Then you're going to have a 1/4 inch or 4.5 quarter square triangle with the white or whatever color you used at the sides facing up. Another white block, quarter square triangles with the white facing out, whatever color center that you used, and then you're going to repeat. So now how I'm going to do this is I'm going to sew this onto this, and I'm just going to chain, open it up, and sew this last row back on. So we're just going to flip these ones over. There's no having to align seams up at this point. You're just going to make sure that the corners line up. So here they are. They're still stitched together. I am not going to cut that stitching just yet. We're just going to open it up and flip. This way, it's keeping the rows together so I don't get confused on which way one goes or this or that. So I'm just going to keep these together and stitch this last row on. This works really great if you have a larger block, a lot more pieces. And here they are, still stitched together with that little stitch in the center. So now I'm going to iron or press these seams. You're going to press one to the left and then one to the right. So we press these ones coming to the left. These ones we're going to press coming to the right. That way they will line up and nestle together. Then you're going to take the other ones and press toward the left. You can remove the stitching in between if it makes it easier. Here you can see these seams go this way, these ones come this way, and then these ones go to the right or to the left. So then we're just going to flip it over. I'm going to flip this top row down, and this is where you just need to line up. I'm not cutting that stitch. You don't have to. You can if you want. But this is where I'm just going to nestle those corner seams right up. I'm going to pin on those seams just to make sure that they stay nice and even together. This will make a 12-inch finished block. So we're going to sew that and then come and flip this one up over onto that one. Now at this point you could square it up to it'll be a 12.5. Give it a good press here. And there is the Ohio Star. There is lots of variations to this block. You could actually make each of these corners in the center one a pieced block instead of just using solid. So there we have it. Thank you for watching this video on how to make the traditional Ohio Star block. I would love to see what kind of quilt you would make with this or that you're making with one. And I'd like for you to comment below what kind of ruler or how do you make your half square triangles or your quarter square triangles. As you all know, I use the June Taylor ruler, which will be listed below. And if you're new here and you like this video and want to continue to learn more on quilting and the history behind the blocks, please hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you know the next time I upload a video. Until then, happy quilting, my friends.